The other day, I was reminded of a cute old poem called Moshiach's Hat that has such a deep lesson that we can learn a lot from for today. So here it goes. Here's the poem. Listen to this. 'Twas the night of the Geula, and in every single shtibel, sounds of Torah could be heard coming from every kind of yidel. This one in English, some in Hebrew, some in Yiddish, some saying Pshat and some saying Chiddush. And up in Shamayim the Eibishter decreed, the time has come for my children to be freed. Rouse the Mashiach from his heavenly birth. Have him get his chariot and head down to earth. The Mashiach got dressed and with a heart full of glee went down to the earth and entered the first shtibel he did see. I'm the Mashiach. Hashem has heard your plea. Your Geula has come. It's time to go free. They all stopped their learning. This was quite a surprise. And they looked at him carefully with piercing sharp eyes. He's not the Mashiach, said one with a grin. Just look at his hat, at the pinches and brim. That's right, cried another with a grimace and a frown. Who ever heard of a Mashiach with a brim that is down? Well, thought Mashiach, if that is the rule, I'll turn my brim up before I go to the next shul. So he walked on right over to the next shul in town, confident to be accepted, since his brim was no longer down. I'm the Mashiach, he cried as he began to enter. But the Jews there wanted to know first if he was right, left, or center. Your clothes are so black, they cried out in a fright. You can't be Mashiach, you're much too far right. If you want to be Mashiach, you must be properly outfitted. So they replaced his black hat with a kippah that was knitted. Wearing his new kippah, Mashiach went out and he said, no difference to me what I wear on my head. So he went to the next shul, for his mission was dear. But he was getting frustrated with the Yidden down here. I'm the Mashiach, he cried, and they all stopped to stare. And a complete eerie stillness filled up the air. You're the Mashiach? Just imagine that. Who ever heard of a Mashiach without a black hat? But I do have a hat, the Mashiach then said. So he pulled it right out and plunked it down on his head. Then the shul started laughing and one said, where's your cup? You can't have Mashiach with a brim that is up. If you want to be Mashiach and be accepted in this town, put some pinches in your hat and turn that brim down. Mashiach walked out and said, I guess my time hasn't really come. I'll just have to return to where I came from. So he went to his chariot, but as he began to enter, all sorts of Jews appeared from left, right, and center. Please wait, do not leave. It's all their fault, they said. And they pointed to each other and to what was on each other's head. Mashiach just looked sad and said, you don't understand. And then started up his chariot to get off this land. Yes, it's very wonderful that all of you learn Torah, but you have forgotten a crucial part of our Masorah. What does he mean? What's he talking about? And they all looked bewildered and all began to shout. Mashiach looked back and answered, the first place to start is your mouths and open up your heart. To each of you, certain Yidden seem too frum or too fry, but all Yidden are beloved in the Eibishter's eye. And on his way up he shouted, if you want me to come, try working a little harder on some ahavas chinam. We know the second Beis Hamikdash was destroyed because of sinas chinam, because of baseless hatred amongst Klal Yisrael. And the Maral tells us something unbelievable. He says that it wasn't a punishment. It wasn't that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed as a punishment for the fact that the Jews weren't getting along. He says something totally different. He says that, you know what the second Beis Hamikdash was built on? Its whole foundation, its entire fabric was built on Achdus, was built on Klal Yisrael being together. There was one Mizbeach, there was one Kohen Gadol. Everybody came together 3 times a year. That was the foundation of the Beis Hamikdash. And when that disappeared, because everybody wasn't getting along, because of the sinas chinam, then the foundations were gone, and unfortunately the Beis Hamikdash could just no longer stand. Let's take this Tisha B'Av to rebuild the foundation of the Beis Hamikdash, to rebuild our ahavas chinam, to build up our relationships, getting along with other people, and in Mirz Hashem, in that schus, we will be able to rebuild the third Beis Hamikdash.